Antoine.
What's going on, Dave?
Thanks for coming in today, sitting down with us. So excited! Can't wait to hear your story.
Man, pleasure.
What you been up to? How'd you get here? What's the art journey been like?
Man, I mean that's a broad. So I don't want to go off on a tangent. So I kind of start with when you ask me how did I get here. Do you mean how did I become an artist or?
Yeah, how'd you become an artist? I guess we'll start there.
Oh wow, that started when I was a kid. I mean, being a young person, a very young person, probably the ages I probably started like sketching and drawing. I could remember on my own, probably kindergarten, first grade, on my own. I could remember me being at the table doing those things, but my mother would say it much sooner because my brain don't recollect back that far. And then when I started to be encouraged to do it more, would probably be probably my mom would say all my life, but me feeling the encouragement to kind of continue on that journey will probably be elementary school. Sitting at the table with all my friends who did art as well, and us kind of going over like the cartoons we watched. And when I was coming up, it was no YouTube, it was no freeze frame, anything. You had to literally remember how the character looked, and then you would have to draw from memory.
That's crazy.
So the whole reference thing was new to me as I kind of got older.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all drew from memory.
Wow. Yeah, my artistic experience, I was just a natural builder from a young age.
Yeah.
So I had that natural calling like you did
Yeah.
at a very young age. I love to build stuff.
For sure.
And that kind of parlayed to where we're at now at Midnight Art Club. So
Yeah.
did you formally go to art school later on in life?
No, I didn't go to art school until I got to college. That was my first time ever experiencing art in an instruction form.
So was there no art education? So what was the high school like when you went to high school here? Did you go to high school here in Cleveland?
No, I went to high school in Michigan. I was born in Pontiac, Michigan, which is outside of Detroit. So I was born in the metropolitan area of Detroit. So my art programming, so to speak, in grade school was kind of cut in the eighth grade.
Oh, that sucks.
Eighth grade. So I didn't have any type of art instruction after probably ninth grade.
Wow. So did you go to the library? Because I remember coming up as a kid. Remember they had the draw books, like you would
for
go get the
sure.
books.
Yep.
Were you one of those kids that would go get the
Definitely
sketchbooks
learning
and
how to
stuff?
do the anime, learning
Yeah.
how to just do just basic human form.
Yeah.
I kind of learned how to draw fingers, hands, to my knowledge of
Wow.
doing that in that way, but it didn't come out like how it came
Yeah.
out in the books because I didn't have that also knowledge that hey, you have to practice this. This is a skill. I just looked at it as a hobby. It's something that I love to do. So I never really took it serious. It's more of an athlete coming up. Coming from where I come from, it was kind of, I won't say frowned upon, but it was kind of like you would consider like a nerd if you kind of like drew and drew pictures. So I kind of kept that tucked, but I was open with it too because everybody knew I could do it. But I mean, you didn't really get the girls because you knew how to draw.
Yeah, that's it definitely. I know I suppressed. I think that led to a lot of my own suppression coming up.
Yeah.
Like building, I played with Legos a lot as a kid. And
For
you're
sure,
like
for
frowned
sure.
upon with Legos, and now Legos is like the thing, man.
The thing.
It's crazy.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So you obviously through elementary school, middle school, you get to high school. Did you do anything art-wise in high school before college? You just kept drawing?
I just kept drawing on my own. I mean, in junior high school, I was really into comic books. I say like sixth grade, sixth grade.
Did you save any of them?
You know what? I did. And the thing is what happened is I went away from school, and it still kind of breaks my heart. My younger siblings, they ripped them apart.
Oh, man.
My mom let them get, and it still bothers me to this
Yeah,
day. So that's like opening up a wound that I can't let it go. Even my wife be like, hey man, just let it go. They're gone. But I had some gems in there, even like basketball cards,
Yeah.
all the way from like baseball, basketball, and football cards, man.
It's
To have like a Barry Sanders rookie card,
right.
like have that now, like a Kobe Bryant like draft card, or just like Michael Jordan at his height, and have those cards. I remember my grandmother, she bought me like this really expensive like Michael Jordan basketball card, and I cherished that thing. It was like in this, they used to put them in
Yeah.
them beautiful
Right.
cases, and man, I don't know where it is. Like
Yeah. Right. It's
the
tough.
collectible plate when the Bulls went 72-10. Like I had all of that stuff as a kid. I was like a nerd in that way, and it breaks my heart that I don't have any of that now
Yeah,
because I left.
I had a Jerry Rice, rookie card, right, when we were coming kid.
That's
Because
crazy.
it's crazy.
That's
When
crazy.
when we were
Yeah.
kids, baseball cards, football cards. I mean, they were just traded. They were
Yes.
so frequent. Like there
Get the
wasn't.
Beckett books.
Yeah, remember the Becca? You look up the value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
remember. You were
crazy.
like, "What's my card worth?" And
Yes.
we'd go to we go like the baseball card trading shop or whatever, and they're like, "You technically your cards are worth like $20," and they're like, "I'll give you $2," and you're like, "I'm not trading that in."
Yeah, I'm not trading it in. I'm holding
you
on
know.
to it. Yeah.
And then I mean, like lo and behold, years later, it's now this stuff is worth a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, it's insane to think of like what we threw in the trash back in the day.
It's crazy, and it wasn't because of me. It's like you have a mom who
Yeah.
just wants to get rid of what she perceives as junk, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, your stuff that's valuable to
Yeah.
you get thrown away.
I still have some baseball cards, very small like collection
Yeah.
of like baseball cards that are like mint
Lucky.
condition.
You lucky.
And I'll have to go back and look. I know I have like a Juan Gonzalez like rookie card.
Oh, that's crazy.
I have like no idea like what it's worth. He was like a hot
That's
player.
crazy.
Like it's all '90s like baseball players.
Oh, for sure. Jose
You know what I
Canseco, all the way to Ken Griffey Jr. You go all the way back to Deion Sanders when he played both. I had the card when he was in the football uniform and the baseball uniform. I used to have all of that.
Man,
Ah,
It's
man,
just gone.
it's just it's gone. It's gone.
wow. Did you ever get into video games?
Of course. I mean, all the way back. Well, I was too young to kind of play like the Atari and like the television and all
Yeah.
that. But I remember my older cousins having that. You know what I mean? But I was just too young to kind
Super
of.
Nintendo?
Yeah. Now Super Nintendo. I
First
had
generation,
that. I had
yeah.
Sega Genesis.
Oh, you
I
had
also had
Genesis.
64.
Okay, and
You
you
know
got
what I'm saying?
64. Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
I went
mean,
Atari.
GoldenEye was the one.
Yeah. That
GoldenEye
was bro.
crazy.
When GoldenEye came out, it
Yeah,
was
it was
ridiculous. I mean, a lot of kids spent a lot of time around GoldenEye.
Absolutely.
I went from Nintendo
Yeah.
to and then I got an Atari Jaguar. Then we had Game Boy,
Oh, for sure. I had a Game Boy.
and
yeah.
then most kids had Game Boy, right? Tetris, and then I got an Atari Jaguar, right? Because I
that's
couldn't
crazy.
afford like my brother. I think
crazy.
he had the Sega. I had I bought the Atari Jaguar with the CD-ROM. I had 26 games for it. I bought it all in the 90s. I kept it
Yeah.
for the longest time, and I just sold it. I think it was like in 2018. I put it on eBay
Oh, that's crazy.
and got like $1,200
That's
for
crazy.
all of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, because we're sitting around, it still worked, and I was
Yeah.
like, let me move it.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
using it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's did video games ever influence any of your artistic ambitions, or did like
Ugh.
did or did your
If any
collecting?
influence, it would probably been like Street Fighter or
Yeah.
Killer Instinct, like drawing those characters.
Street
Like,
Fighter was Street
Yeah.
Fighter was such a cool game, man.
yeah,
Like,
like those two. Like, I love drawing like Ken Ryu
Yeah.
and all of those type of characters because it had that anime style, and plus I was in the comic book, so just trying to, be inspired by those characters and draw my own and name them something different, and then build those characters. And it wasn't very many black characters back then,
Yeah.
either, so I would kind of have to recreate out of imagination those characters. Yeah.
yeah, that's that is like when you think back, to like video games, you think back to like comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lack of diversity.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, what does that stem from? Was that just who was creating? Like, do you think it was who was creating the video games? Do you think, do you think it was who was writing the comics?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was, but also I think, now that I'm older, I see that, Stan Lee came out and said he was using black storylines
Yeah.
and some of black history to also kind of inform some of those
Yeah.
characters. They just changed the color of the skin, but
Yeah.
a lot of the superpowers and different things that they kind of talk about in the
Yeah.
comic books kind of stem from like civil rights movements and different
Yeah.
things like that. So, I mean, in essence, it was just really them taking a story and kind of using characters to kind of like do their own thing. But yeah, I would say I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, but that's just from observation.
And so let's skip forward a bit. You work with kids now, right?
Somewhat. I do some kid programming, not heavy on the kids. I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I mean, we built a lot of our organization in that realm.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
And so have you incorporated any of your, when you look back to comics, right, and how comics influenced your life?
Yeah, for sure.
The lack of diversity in your comics, has there been any, I guess, incorporation into that, into working with the kids that you work with now? Or
Yeah, for sure. I think like well, I'll say like a lot of why I wanted to even start working with kids is because of the lack of mentorship or even like seeing other artists in my community, right? Like I didn't grow up in my neighborhood and I was able to see artists.
Yeah.
Or what will be perceived as, oh, I'm a full-time artist
Right.
and I can do this thing. And so I think that's where a lot of that work that I do as an adult now come from, is being the person that I needed when I was younger. But I also think like a lot of what happened when I was coming up, the lack of diversity in characters, the lack of diversity in the cartoons, just the lack of our story being told, is something that I try to instill in the younger artists or creatives, or they don't necessarily have to know how to paint or draw. They can be in my class and they just know how to write well. Or
Yeah.
I'm just really for the creative. Yeah, I just think that's really where I want to kind of be
Yeah.
a mentor or an
Yeah.
inspiration for those younger people
Right.
in that way.
That's incredible. So you go to college.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Are you an art major in college?
Yeah, I knew that I was going to be an art major for sure.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I knew that for sure.
And you got your BAF?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you get your MAF?
No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I was in school enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after a while, like I knew I didn't have any interest on becoming a art professor or work at a college or work at a high school or be an art teacher. I didn't have any. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to have my own perspective on how art education should be taught.
So what happens then? You go to college. Where'd you go to college at?
Southern University, A&M College. I got the.
Oh, nice. And where's that at?
That's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh, really?
It's right across town from LSU.
So you went from Michigan down to Louisiana. What was that like?
No. I went from Michigan, Iowa, California, Louisiana.
Wait, so hold on. You went to where out in California did you go?
San Diego. I graduated with my associates in art at San Diego Mesa College.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in San Diego.
And so, did California? Because there's a lot of creative stuff happens out in California.
Sure.
Did that influence you at all? Did it change you at all?
Absolutely. That was my first time I've ever, and my high school was predominantly black, so I think I could probably count on maybe one hand how many white folks, white kids that was in the school. We had white teachers and different things like that, but we had a ton of. It's a very black city. And so that was the first time I've ever kind of like been in a very like white classroom, so to speak, where it was like it, but also being in a class with a lot of Asian kids, and it was a lot of diversity. I'll say that. But then it was the first time too where I was able to learn a lot about Black history.
Yeah.
Because the kind of programs and different things that they offer as far as like courses and different things like that at the school. I mean, you could take Black Studies for English courses. And so I took a lot of Black Studies classes. So that really changed my perspective of who I was and how I wanted to create art in some aspects.
When I went to Cleveland State, I actually went for geology.
Yeah.
And when I went to Cleveland State, it was part of the course curriculum was to take Black history courses.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating to actually sit down and go through the books and read the books about MLK and Malcolm X.
For sure.
The civil rights,
For sure.
and the history there was, was really illuminating.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
it's something that in my primary education coming up, something that they really didn't teach. It was crazy, and it wasn't until I went to Cleveland State and it was a course curriculum that I actually learned about it.
same
You know
here.
what I mean? And so you were growing up, I'm taking then, so wait, your first black school that you went to, that was
Yeah.
primarily black, was out in San Diego?
No, that was in Louisiana.
That was in
Yeah,
Louisiana.
because
Okay.
this is a HBCU.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
historically black college. The junior college I went there to play basketball. Reason why I was at those two other schools is because I was a basketball. I was on their basketball scholarship, and
Oh, so so wait, hold on, you were an athlete.
yeah, I was an athlete.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I played basketball through high school all the way to college until I tore my knee, and then that
Oh,
ended
man.
it. Yeah,
So from basketball to art,
yeah,
the art world was kind of the backup.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't even say it was the backup. I think it's always been there.
Yeah.
I just prioritize basketball because, like I said before, that was the thing that I had more access to. I didn't have access to art,
Yeah.
as you could tell. Like we didn't even have it in high school,
Yeah,
but I had
that
sports.
sucks.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I had anything that can get me out of the street.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um, so you go to college,
Yep.
Baton Rouge,
Yep.
Louisiana,
Yeah.
right? And it's HBCU,
Yeah.
Historically Black College.
Yeah.
What was your experience like?
That changed my life as far as like being an artist.
Yeah.
I've already experienced black people, been around them all my life, so that wasn't a culture shock. Like some kids that were there, they went to private school, so they were in school with predominantly white people, so they went there for a black experience. My city is a black experience in itself. You know what I mean? And so, me going to Southern, I mean, it was really me seeing the artists make powerful work
Oh, wow.
about the history.
Yeah.
That's what changed me.
I see.
And that's the reason why I make the work I make today. Is because of that right there. And that was the reason why I even chose that school. Because when I went on a visit there, and I went into the student union and they had a art show there, and it was just phenomenal of how the artists were so sure of themselves, so vulnerable, and how they told their stories through a visual form. It's what was saying like, oh, that's
Yeah.
how I need to make
Yeah.
art. Change my life.
Wow. And so I'm trying to think of, what forms. So what did you specifically see that engaged you or that gave you more creative pursuit and passion there in college?
I mean, first of all, black professors
Yeah.
that were professional, but also encouraging, and also giving me the real. Also, seeing professional black men and women maneuver through art. Even when they leave school, they have art shows. They have all these
see.
different things going. Really brought to my brain that, oh, I can do this, right? But I still had that mentality of, well, it's gonna be hard for me because they did tell me like the reality of it is it wasn't so progressive then. Hey, this is how the gallery system works.
Yeah.
This is how this works. I mean, some of the stories, Antoine, that you're telling, it's gonna be hard for you to break through. All of these different things, but they were giving me what I'm going through now. They were giving me guidance.
Yeah. I mean, good mentorship. I have a good friend. He's a good artist here in Cleveland. He went to art school.
Yeah.
This was back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he came out of college as BAF, and he treated art obviously like he'd hate to say that I'm saying this, but like a career, right? And so good mentorship or that good mindset of like, hey, here's how the systems work, so you can actually go on. I think that's what I see with a lot of artists here in Cleveland is the struggle to make art their career, right? It's to make it their full-time job, and it's a real struggle. And I often, getting to know artists that are actually successful and getting to hear some of their backstories, it's like, if you go to art school and you come out of art school, hopefully you got good mentorship like you did, but then you have to take yourself seriously, and then you really have to treat it like you got to go network,
Yeah.
And try to get into galleries and have shows,
Yep.
And get commissions. So you're in college, you're getting great mentorship. So when you graduate, when did you do any cool art shows when you were in college? Any?
Absolutely. My first art show, I came in third place. I placed third. I did like some. We were in design class. I did like some funky, like kind of like drawing with the compass.
Yeah.
Which you would look at it and it make you super like dizzy. But I did it with like Sharpie and graphite, and they will have like different art professors come in and actually go in and jury each show, and so it was like an artist from I don't remember the school, but it was somewhere in Louisiana, and I came in third, and then the second one I did, I was really nervous always about those shows because you have to you learn how to hang the show, you learn how to do framing, you learn how to do that, you learn how to do all these different things, and plus like. When you're learning painting, you're learning drawing, you're learning graphic design. I'm learning all of this stuff, and you taking them, and you got these 3-hour studio classes and different things like that. And I'm just like, this is a lot, right?
So that's a good question.
Yeah.
What skills did you not have in the art field when you went into college?
Painting.
Yeah.
Painting.
See, I honestly, God, still this day don't know how to make colors. Like, if people are
painting,
like,
I didn't understand color theory or none of that. Like, I kind of did a little bit, but I didn't understand like how to mix colors because I never worked with oil, right? I worked with acrylics, but it was very just like paint on clothes, and so I was kind of like self-taught in that way, just trying to figure out, okay, this color makes this color. We didn't have YouTube to really like guide us. This was like
this is pre 2004,
right? This
pre
was like
Facebook, pre YouTube.
Yeah, this is like when Facebook was only for like college students.
Yeah,
right. Like you had to go on MySpace if you wanted to get social media.
Yeah, MySpace.
Days. And then Black Planet and all the rest of them, College Club, and so I was very early. So YouTube was just like people putting up like not even 5-minute videos. I think it was like a minute.
I remember the early YouTube days when I was in college. And people were like, I'm like, what do you do in your spare time? They're like, I watch YouTube. And I'm like, what's YouTube? And they're like, it's people's videos. And I'm like, you're watching other people's videos?
Like,
you know what I mean? And I often tell people like in 2004, when YouTube first came out, they were about to go bankrupt. Yeah. Because they weren't making any money and it was costing a lot of money back then to host the data online.
Yeah, those servers.
And they were like 48 hours away from bankruptcy. Yeah. Shutting it all down, and Google came in and bought them for $1 billion.
It's crazy.
Think about that.
They saw the vision.
Now, today, YouTube's probably worth 100 times that.
Absolutely.
If not, you know what I mean? Like it's
for all the eyeballs.
So did you gravitate? I know in my artistic journey, it's medians, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about materials, that artists work with, right, or gravitate towards. And so when you begun your artistic pursuit as a kid, was it like crayons and watercolors? Like, how did your medians that you worked with from when you were young to then definitely when you get to college, because it starts to open up what you can work with. Yeah. How did that change over time? Or how did, in that period there, like, what was the biggest, I don't want to sit there and say experiment, but like growth, I guess, in a way?
I'll say, like, I think when I first got to art school, like when I first got to college and I got there, I was very fascinated by realism. Right, making a thing look like a thing.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's crazy.
My professors, one of my professors, Professor Cox, he was a phenomenal realist. And when you took his class, it was like having Simon Cowell, like
wow,
like judges singing. It was like he'll look at it and be like, "Oh, that's garbage. Do it all over again."
So you're talking about like
photorealistic, making things. Rendering things to make it
make
look like that thing.
Now, how I've seen this before, and it's
Yeah.
incredible what you guys can do.
Yeah.
When artists do this, how long does it actually take to get like a photorealistic painting?
It really depends on the artist. I mean, if you're doing it all the time, I mean, and you catch a flow. I mean, some people can
Yeah.
finish it in a day. Some people could. It may take them months. Like, but if you're just with a pencil
Yeah.
without doing all of the tricks and illusions, it could take days to get the thing right. Because first of all, it's all about scale. Like now, everybody can use projectors. They can use all of these like magic tricks behind the closed doors. But you didn't have any knowledge of that. Like you had to figure out how long is that tip of that nose is from those eyes. So you had to literally use your compass, use your fingers, use certain things and different tricks that those elders had
Oh wow.
to figure out
Yeah.
perspective.
So it's not just looking at a photo and
Yeah.
like drawing it. It sounds like there's a lot more.
It's a lot more to it. Now it's
Yeah.
turned to that because now you can just get straight to it because
Oh,
you can
okay.
cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, no, you had to literally go step by step
And
and
so-
figure it out.
And I know that there's videos that point to a difference between the pencils you can use, right?
Yeah,
If you
for
buy
sure.
a $3 pencil versus like a $50 pencil.
Yeah.
Like, and so can you, I mean, what, have you seen that difference or what's that like?
I think if you use a standard pencil,
Yeah.
I mean you could still capture that, but you got to do a lot of practice to know the pressure points,
Oh, okay.
to know how dark you should go here, the grade of the graphite will matter to get certain richness. And also even like knowing like, okay, when you have a pencil and you're showing it in a gallery, the light can flash on it and it can totally like have a lot of glare. So a lot of those like pencils like charcoal and carbon pencils and different things like that with more of a chalkier kind of like texture to it, that eliminates glare.
Is there any brand you like to use, or is there a certain one you recommend that's better over?
Pencils, I'll say, I believe the brand is Faber Castell or something like that. I believe it is it's like in a green pack. Those are phenomenal pencils. Anything by them are good to draw with. As far as graphite, as far as like charcoal, you can go to Blick and get these, but the name is escaping me. I always use them.
Yeah.
But what's the name escaping me right now? It'll probably come back to me. But yeah, I would say, if you use those pencils though, that's a great start.
Yeah. What do you like to work with? Like
Now, man, I like to work with all type of materials now. Like now I'm a mad
multimedia.
scientist. Yeah, I'm multimedia now. Like because even in college I did a lot of sculpture. People don't know that. I was actually pretty good at sculpture. Like
clay,
Clay.
metal.
Yep. with
So
clay.
did you do a casting process with clay at all?
Yes.
That's fascinating because I'm watching videos on Instagram of a guy. He makes a mold, pours in a clay.
Yeah.
It dries for
Yeah.
like 30 minutes. He pours the fluid clay out that's left.
Yeah.
Breaks the mold apart.
Yeah.
And then he glazes it.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
That's exactly the process that we did in college. We would I literally learned from a live model. We used to have live models on campus, like women, men on campus, students sit in the middle, and we right there on the spot.
Wow. So
Yeah.
was there any difficulty
Mm-hmm.
that when you were going through art school and college, like was there any sort of median or style of art that you were taking through your college courses that kind of threw you for a loop, or that you were like, was there any sort of struggle?
Painting probably was the struggle because when you get people who know how to draw good don't always know how to necessarily translate that into like painting, because even though it's a similar process in some aspects, it's different if you don't understand how to mix colors and tone.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And so is it, and I can understand what you're saying there between the difference between pencil and brush.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing it's not only the brush that you use, but the way you stroke the brush, right?
Or even how you mix your colors. If you're trying to make something look right and exact, then you have to understand color theory and how to get to that warm or cool color. And I think like when I was in college, that's what I struggled with is like, damn, I got to this is a science. This is a science.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand what makes what. Tertiary, secondary, you know, primary. You got to understand all of that.
How long did it take you to learn that? To learn the different colors and to
I'm
memorize?
still learning.
You're still.
I'm still learning. I'm still a student.
So, in my creative pursuits, I am very experimental.
Yeah,
Right.
me
And
too.
I like to find and discover stuff along the way.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful part about the journey of art is it really kind of goes at times hand in hand with science.
It does.
And so scientists wade into the art realm and artists at times wade into the science realm.
For sure.
And so, looking back, or maybe even still to this day, is I guess it's to ask the question of, has there been any sort of, experimental or discovery insight there? Because you're an artist that works with across a lot of materials.
For sure.
Right. And so have you kind of ever discovered something, been like, or experimented to try to find something new?
Yeah, I'm doing that now currently. Like with a lot of the new work I'm making, it's just really just like trying to figure out a new language on what I want to say and how I want to say it, and not box myself in. Because looking at all the great artists I've seen, they all started at one point and ended up at a certain point. And so without being complacent with my practice, I think like right now is just building materials, things that you build with.
Yeah.
Trying to find different ways to get different textures, to say things that I want to say without actually saying them with figure. Yeah, just really right now has been I'm in that discovery part of my career where I'm pushing myself out of I'm not going to Blick. I'm
Yeah.
not going to Michael's or any of these type of stores or ordering something off Amazon. I'm literally gonna go to Ace Hardware.
I see. I see. See, that's fascinating. A part of the art process is how people approach the work itself. I know,
Yeah,
I guess I come from, my standpoint has always been for more of a, my art standpoint, I guess, has always been for more of an engineering or science-based
Yeah.
side. Like,
yeah,
if the amount of time I spend in Home Depot in the fastener aisle staring at fasteners,
yeah.
right, for the projects that I have to build, like I have literally stood there for hours,
It becomes like
Yeah.
Home Depot becomes like a mall
Yeah,
where you just stare at stuff.
yeah, and that's fascinating. The approach to try to find different materials
Yes.
that aren't typically, that you would typically find in art stores.
For sure.
Is fascinating. So, what sort of stuff do you look for now at these? When you go to like hardware
Yeah.
stores or
I
maybe
mean,
even
old
thrift stores?
sheetrock. I'm looking for like beat up wood. I'm looking for concrete, any type of something that can give me any type of I'll say stucco, wall spackling. I mean, old beat up cans of paint, whatever it is that I can see that can actually stick to a canvas,
Yeah.
or figure out a way to get it on there. Yeah, I'm probably gonna discover and kind of experiment with that.
Wow. So like so definitely multimedia.
Yes.
I wonder if, I've seen some artwork out there
Mm-hmm.
that's like, it's like chromatic artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have these artists that explore like what happens if you could technically make a painting where if the temperature of the room changes, the painting will change depending
Right.
on the material,
Right.
right? Like
Right. Right.
applied art. I was in Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling personally, and I was in Vienna for like 32 hours.
Yeah.
And I was going to all the different museums, and I was like, oh, they have an applied art museum,
Yeah.
and I'll go there.
Yeah.
So I go to the Applied Art Museum, and they have something called the Make exhibition,
Mm.
and it was this applied art exhibition that spanned across like for art projects that spanned across like 20 years,
Yeah.
right? And so, have you ever heard of an artist called Nuri Oxman?
No, I haven't.
You should check out Nuri Oxman. She ran the MIT Multimedia Lab,
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
she experiments with art and technology from a biology standpoint.
Got you.
She was one of the first people to 3D print glass.
Oh, wow.
She works with. She has some really phenomenal biology artwork and projects that she's done, right? And this kind of goes back to what you're doing right now. Of applied art, part of that art pursuit is trying to find new unconventional materials
Yep.
to really work with, which is it's just fascinating, because when you walk into a hardware store or a thrift store or any store, and you start to look at, and that goes back to the experimental phase.
Yes.
This discovery phase of like, I always ask myself, like, has this been done before? And if it hasn't been done, why so? And then why be the first to do it?
Right. You got to ask yourself those questions.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us. Okay, so we're gonna skip forward a bit here. So what art projects are you working on now, or you're trying to work on, or what's this? You're definitely in the multimedia realm, which is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now I'm in a group show now that's in Brussels, Belgium.
Oh, congrats.
At the moment.
Congrats.
Called what is it called? How I'm losing. Oh yeah, Botanical Conversations, which I'm excited to be a part of, and it has so many great artists and well-respected artists internationally. So this is my first time showing internationally. So I'm very excited and proud to be able to come from where I come from, to be able to have that type of platform. So I want to build upon what I'm doing now, and hopefully at some point I land back at sculpture.
Yeah, definitely. Sculpture it's exciting. It's tough.
Yeah.
So how many pieces for your upcoming show do you have to get together? I know it's always
right now. I'm close I'm probably at 17 now.
Wow.
Currently in progress, close to 20. But in the show, I think we're gonna go with 8 to 9 pieces to show. So
and then how many are there? Oh, solo exhibition.
Solo.
Right? Solo.
Yep.
So it's just you.
Yep.
That's awesome.
For the exhibition I'm in right now, I only put in like one piece for that. But it was a conversation that they wanted to have, and they thought that piece fit great for the conversation that they want to have with nature and different things like that. But but it's I just say it's more things coming. I'm just trying to get everything inked out.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak too soon to stuff. You know how it is. You don't want to jinx the things.
Listen, I believe in the power of manifestation.
Absolutely.
So you speak it into existence.
Yeah.
I always, I tell my team now, I'm like, watch what you wish for.
Yeah, because you'll get it.
And you'll get it. And then it turns out to be something different. And then, I'm like, success is a beautiful thing, but man, sometimes it comes at you in a different way.
I mean, I always wrestle with the word success, because success can mean many things to other people that's looking at you, but they don't actually know what comes with your success. You know what I mean? Success comes with a lot of, to be honest with you, it comes with a lot of accountability.
Yeah.
You got to continue to show and prove and be better and evolve, and in the pressure and the amount of pressure that you have to put on yourself to you're in competition with yourself.
Yeah,
it's like I gotta outdo.
You're speaking to my soul, because every year right now I have to build, I have to design a new art installation, large scale art installation.
Which is phenomenal. The ones that I've seen all look great.
Appreciate it. It just goes back to like what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's like I just wish I had more time. I literally, you know, running, running two businesses, running a nonprofit with my friends.
Yep.
I just wish I had more time to sit down
Right.
and really enjoy. I don't think part of me is always trying to chase a more perfected product, and my
Right.
shortcomings as an artist is the fact that I don't have enough time to sit down and kind of hone the craft like some of my other artist friends
None
do.
of us do.
Right?
None of us do. Like people think that in order in order to survive, that you could just live off selling paintings. No, you gotta do like 5 or 6 different other things. It's like none of us know how to survive. Like, you know what I mean? We're all trying things, and I think like that's how I even approach my art practice.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you gotta ask yourself a lot of questions, but then you also gotta have a lot of pots on the stove.
Yeah.
Like, in order to survive in this game, you gotta be willing to take risks.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
our art, if you're not taking the risk, then you're gonna become boring, stale, lame to whoever. Like, it's an audience out there that want that,
Yeah.
but you have to figure out a way to keep yourself going, and that's where I think I am. I don't want to get stuck and be known for, oh, Antoine, you do that. It's like, no, you may have been introduced me to do that. You were introduced to me as an artist with that work, but no, I don't want you to still listen to that album. You need to listen to this new album.
Right. so why haven't you come back to why haven't you done anything sculptural? I know you've done some murals.
Yeah.
How many murals do you have in the city now? Which are phenomenal.
I would probably say permanent 2.
Wow.
2. I probably turned down more opportunities doing murals than anything. I look at the mural thing as like, I like public art, but public art becomes so personal to the community that it's in.
Yeah, it's something that the community needs here in Cleveland because we're so devoid of public art.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. I think like, but it's so many artists that want to get in that.
Yeah.
That it draws to me a lot of competition and it feeds. It's just I think the opportunities for public art draw more division amongst artists than it does bring us together. Yeah. And that's why I turn a lot of it down, because I'm like, hey, let some other people eat, let some other people shine. Like, I don't need all of the walls.
Right.
Like, I'm not that egotistic to want to drive in every neighborhood and see Antoine. Like, no, a lot of the murals that I've done, I did them for specific reasons, to give out specific messaging. That's really it. If a lot of times I just don't want to do a mural for this said organization or this said community or whatever. But yeah, I try to be very careful that I'm not everywhere, but everywhere at the same time.
Definitely. Cleveland needs, just to go back, like Cleveland needs, I mean, there's such a plethora of public art that Cleveland needs.
A lot of it.
And I wish the city and the county, or at least the city of Cleveland, I know they just recently came out with TAF. I work with the city, or try to work with the city all the time.
Yeah.
Been in more city planning meetings and design review
probably been to a lot of them doing what you do, for sure.
And it's, the city to me is receptive of public art. But at times there's just this, there's this hesitation, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I know that it's something that the city is exploring now. And I tell the city, I'm like, you guys just got to get everyone together in one room for one day to approve public art projects. Yeah. Because they make us jump through too many hoops.
Too many hoops. It's too much politics.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I don't like doing them.
Yeah.
It's too much politics behind it. And and a lot of times for the money that I'm paid to do them, I could get paid that doing paintings. Yeah. Like, I could be in the comfort of my home with my family and I have to deal with city planning and
Yeah.
people telling me
Yeah.
change this,
Yeah.
do this, and do.
Right.
Listen, I get it, and I love the community. I'm all for community, but I'm also for artists to
Right.
feel like artists and not machines, or you know what I mean. Like, it's just it's a lot that come with it, but I understand that responsibility and that comes with it. But not all the time I'm in the season that want to deal with that.
Yeah. And it goes back to good mentorship.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
I think a lot of our art community doesn't have good mentorship or doesn't
don't.
have a good perspective or education
They don't.
of actually how to be, successful or a thriving artist, someone to make money out. And that's the first thing I tell artists
Yeah.
is, says, make your art here in Cleveland
Yep.
and leave Cleveland. Like take your artwork, go to Pittsburgh, go to Chicago,
That's our
go to Detroit, go to New York,
That's it.
go to Miami. Like
You don't have to like uproot your whole life
no,
to do that.
just take it. I'm like, in my short time, I guess within the art world,
Yeah.
and traveling all over the world seeing art. That's the one thing I see is I'm like, maybe I got to watch what I say here. Like artists who take themselves seriously
Yeah.
will set a home base somewhere, but they're constantly out in other cities
Yeah.
getting their artwork out in galleries or shows. And it's
Yep.
and it's something that from what I see here, it's just my perception
Yep.
is that's what seems like the lack is that there's a lot of local artists here. And I'm like, well, when's the last time you were in a show outside the city? And it's like, never. And I'm
Never.
I'm like, you're an incredible artist. What you're doing is great.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But you got to get your artwork out there.
Got to get it out there. And I think it's the fear of, with a lot of them, I think it's the fear of just like doing that. Just believing in yourself that much that it's that good that other people should see it in other places. But that ain't necessarily how it always goes. I mean, I've been lucky and I've been blessed to, people reach out or, just think about it. Like I have been doing art in this city for the last 7 years. I mean, just like professionally putting myself out there, doing shows. I only had one solo show and I did it. I had to get with a group of friends and put on my own show. No one ever offered me anything. No one said, "Hey, Antoine, come to my gallery and do a solo exhibition." I had to meticulously get with people and plan that out and strategically put that together. But it was also not just a show for me. It was a show to show other artists like, hey, you don't necessarily need other people to validate you to give you a show.
What show was that?
We did it. I did it last year. It was called how am I forgetting that? Come Home With Me was the title of the show. We did it in a friend's home, a couple friends' home. We did it in their home, and we did it in Cleveland Heights near like the Coventry area.
Oh, wow.
And we had it open for like 3 months for people to just come in and out. We had gallery hours, and it grew legs. And that's what actually landed me the show overseas.
Oh, wow.
So because I took that leap of faith. Now, I'm not saying that everyone can do what I did and it be successful.
Yeah.
But I had laid down a lot of groundwork without complaining or anything like that. And I'm not saying that you should complain if things aren't right.
Yeah.
Because people need to hear that voice.
Yeah.
But you got to keep going.
Right.
And so with that, I've been incredibly blessed to get opportunity and learn how, and I have learned how to maximize the opportunity for not just a moment, but for more opportunity. And I think it's so much competition amongst artists in the city where we get lost in that, and then we don't take the time to put ourselves out there because my energy is how can I stop David from getting the opportunity?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the reason I stop and I'm shaking my head is because I'm all too familiar with, and I don't approve of, I think, what holds Cleveland's true creative movement back. I was in the startup field for a very short time.
Yeah.
Right there. I was inventing a new form of lumber and stumbled into art.
That's fire.
I knew that at that point in time in life, I've been wanting to volunteer for a long time.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy how I came over from the startup world, the business world, into the art world, and was able to bring all my knowledge base over. And
Yeah.
I look at artists here in Cleveland, our art community, and I'm like, everyone should be working with one another. There's so much ample space, and this, there was a photographer that I followed online, Kozarati was his handle. He was amazing photographer. And someone asked him, this was years ago, like, do you think that the photography market's oversaturated here in Cleveland? He's like, absolutely not at all. And fast forward years later, and it's like, yeah, it absolutely wasn't saturated. Like, Cleveland, I can tell you, from my perspective, is an incredibly vibrant
Yes.
arts and culture space. Like,
Yes.
if a tourist were to come here, what they're going to find is there's art galleries everywhere. Because
Yep.
the first thing I look for when I go to any city abroad is I go, where's the plethora of art galleries at?
There we go.
And sometimes you can't even find them. Like I've been to Istanbul, and it literally took me, like, I walked and walked and walked and walked, and I didn't see that many art galleries. Like, you know what I mean? And that was just, and
Yeah.
I mean, I must have
That's the
walked.
luxury of Cleveland.
Yeah, here in Cleveland, it's like Cleveland's beautiful because we've given birth to so many different types of artists across the genres.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the fact that there's any sort of like infighting just beyond me, because I'm like,
It doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's the real reason why Cleveland can't grow.
Yeah.
Is because of the infighting amongst
Right.
artists, or or just the isolation, the
gatekeeping.
siloing, the
Yeah.
gatekeeping. I don't want to show this person this, and I don't want to come to this person's studio, or the who's over there. Well, I ain't coming. Like, that culture has to stop in order for us to grow or be competitive with other cities in certain respects. Other than that, you're going to get one or two of us that get pulled out,
Yeah.
and the rest of everybody's going to continue to keep fighting. There's be another generation where a few of us get pulled out,
Yeah.
and then. But it's sad when you have to isolate yourself from the community in order to get peace, to actually create something.
Yeah.
If you sit in a room with 5 artists,
Yeah.
it's going to turn into a complaining session
Yeah.
about how terrible Cleveland's art scene is.
And when they do that, I look at that and I go, that's because
Yep.
you haven't had the proper maybe mentorship,
For sure.
right?
For sure.
Or you
No judgment either.
And that's
for sure.
what first question I would ask is like, have you left Cleveland?
A lot of times it's like, no.
Yeah, it's like no, and it's like, well, your artwork's incredible. Take it outside of Cleveland.
Take it outside.
You know what I mean? Like and it's just, and so I definitely see, and most artists here in Cleveland, in my opinion, they don't have that business 101.
I think if you're going to be an artist, you need to, spend a lot of time on a painting if you need to.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand business, you'll get jerked.
Right.
You won't even know where to turn.
And so, an interesting insight there is from artist to artist. Then is when do you think that the artists that we encounter, is there a lack where they didn't? Do you think some of these artists didn't go to art schools and that's why? It's because
I think in the back of their mind they're telling themselves, "Man, I probably should have went."
Yeah.
But I will say, art school, if you do have some type of degree behind you, you will get certain luxuries that other artists that didn't get.
Yeah.
Certain doors will open for
Yeah,
you. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you put right, kind of rightly so.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want, you wouldn't want someone who read Grey's Anatomy to be doing heart surgery on you.
That's facts.
You know
That's
what I
facts.
mean?
That's facts.
Like, I mean,
That's
so
facts.
it's like the people that actually went to, you kind of always have to make that distinction nowadays because you got a lot
listen.
of politics, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, well, listen, there's people that actually went and got their PhD in the art field. Don't cry when they become like the director of the museum.
Well, look, that's the thing that I always have to put in perspective, even with the artists here in Cleveland. If you feel that Antoine Washington is getting something that you want, well, you have to understand that Antoine Washington matriculated college courses, and I went through a process to get a degree.
Right.
So when the museum looks at my work and looks at my CV, they see Antoine went to a college and university and matriculated and got a degree.
Right.
You just painting in your living room and you may be phenomenal, but yeah, they're not always looking at how phenomenal and technically sound you are. It's learning how to storytell. It's learning. It's a lot that comes with understanding how to make art.
Yeah.
But then if you have education behind you, that helps you out a lot more, because a curator could say, "Oh, well, I'm not just bringing someone off the street into the museum or something like that." And that may sound bad, but like we all know, like you just said it, I'm not going to be mad that I didn't get the surgeon job.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to be mad because I'm an armchair lawyer and they won't let me in the courtroom to argue on behalf of someone's case when someone went to school to actually be a lawyer.
Yeah, right.
So why are we mad at each other as artists and creatives when you can go look up that they went to a school and then we're mad that they get the opportunity? Right. No, they got the opportunity at that said institution because they matriculated an institution. That may be the reason. You know, I'm not saying that that's the reason, but give that some grace a little bit, and then just keep trying, man. Somebody will let you in.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, you need no defense for hard work.
None.
You need if you're willing to put the work into whatever craft you want to pursue, whether you went to school or not.
Yes.
Eventually, it's going to work out.
That's it. Hard work beats everything, and I'm not saying like. I'm not going to give you the hard work and sleep when you're dead and none of that. Yeah, get your rest. Make sure you do that. But hard work also comes with not just becoming a great maker of the thing. It's studying other artists, doing other things that can bring attention to your art. And that's understanding business, marketing. That's understanding where to put yourself, and also knowing where you want to go.
So who inspires you in Cleveland? You have anybody you look up to?
Tons of people.
Any artists you recommend to go see, like artwork? One artist.
That's kind of tough to do because I love so many artists, and also I don't want nobody to get mad.
Okay, so maybe a plethora out there. Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, I would say if you in Cleveland, check out, because check out all the artists. It don't matter. I think it's so many great artists here that haven't got their shot.
Yeah.
That I say check out everybody because it's so subjective.
Yeah.
What I like, you may not like.
That's fair. That's good.
But I say give us all a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you go as the person that, that's the viewer or the person that is actually going to these studios. You be the judge on who you like and who you don't. But I just say, but I just say just come to Cleveland and just explore. Just explore, man. It's a lot of great things here.
Where can we find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Antoine Washington, at Antoine Washington. That's ANTWOINE. Washington spelled just like George Washington or the state. And you can find me, you can find me there if you want to see any of like what I'm up to or snapshots of my work. And then you can go to my website, AntoineWashington.com. That's ANTWOINE, Washington, spelled just like Washington, like the state, like the president.com.
Definitely. We would love to collab some point. Got to come by our studio.
Oh, for sure.
See what we're up to. We're in the flats right next to Mulberry's.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Richmond Heights. So, I'm in the neighborhood, but hey, you can always come and I'll come and do the exchange. For sure.
Definitely. Well, I wish we had more time. Let's do it again at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
And thanks so much for sitting down today and sharing your story.
Man, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Right. Peace out.
Peace.